Hey everybody, this is Darren Van Dam, and you're watching Flick Connection, the show that helps you get more out of movies. It's Monday, it's time for my Flicks of the Week, which are going to be my top picks from all the major streaming services, as well as your best bets for the rentals and theater this week. Starting off with Netflix, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World just recently got added. Excited to see this one, even though I own it on Blu-ray, so I don't really care that it's on Netflix, but I really do like this one, so it is a good ad for Netflix. If you skipped it, you didn't care about it, definitely go back and check this one out, unless you just have no love for 80s culture, 90s culture, video game culture, cool, stylish filmmaking. If you don't like any one of those things, you're probably not going to really dig this movie because it's all of those things really intensely. I mean, the filmmaking here is just really creative, really just dazzling and surprising. On top of it, just being a fairly good story. I mean, there's really nothing wrong with the story, the direction, all of that's great. It's just a really fun movie that I've enjoyed multiple times. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, a movie that is not enjoyable whatsoever is The Witch, which is one of the better horror movies from last year. This movie was fairly polarizing, and I think the big reason is because a lot of people did not know what to expect. When it came out, they were kind of expecting your typical horror movie formula. This movie's anything but that. It is a slow burn, but it's very good at building dread, and it feels very real. But this takes place sort of in the Salem witch trials era. It does not revolve around the Salem witch trials, but it takes place in that era. And it is creepy. It is dark. It is grim. It's going to put you in a dark place if you let it. My suggestion, though, if you have not seen it, aside from what I'm telling you, go into it with little to no expectations. Just expect to see something different, unique, and really dreadful. And on Amazon Prime, something sort of in between Scott Pilgrim and The Witch, Return of the Living Dead. I'm going to repeat it because there's a bunch of Living Dead movies. Return of the Living Dead. I really like this one. It's got a cool 80s thing going on. It is zombies crawling up out of the dirt in front of headstones. A lot of fog machines in this one, but it's got a cool vibe to it, a good throwback kind of grindhouse vibe. It's fun when it should be fun. It's a little scary when it should be scary. It's gross. It's brains. It's zombies. It's the whole thing. I really like this one. I have not rewatched it since it got added to Prime recently, but I will be watching this in the month of October, guaranteed. The Good Shepherd is actually directed by Robert De Niro, who is a self-proclaimed expert on the CIA, so this movie is very accurate from what I understand. It stars Matt Damon, Angelina Jolie, Joe Pesci's in it, and actually, in a smaller role, Gino Confarelli, who I just did an interview with. He's actually my first guest on the podcast, so go over to the podcast, check that out. He's got a lot of stuff to say. He's worked with De Niro multiple times. He's got a really great filmography resume, so very interesting conversation with him. Go check that out, but he is also in The Good Shepherd. But if you're into CIA type of stuff or historical dramas, it is a spy movie, but it's not your typical spy movie. It's a very realistic look into the CIA, so if that piques your fancy at all, definitely check out The Good Shepherd. And then Hulu just added two of my favorite Wes Anderson movies, Rushmore and Moonrise Kingdom. I really enjoy both of these, and they're similar in a lot of ways as they do revolve around a teenage boy as the central character. Rushmore, I've always loved that movie. It feels the least like a Wes Anderson movie to me because he was still developing his style, I think. But really great. Bill Murray's incredible in it. I think even if you don't like Wes Anderson movies or you think you don't like them, you can watch and enjoy Rushmore. It's got a really wide appeal, unlike some of his other movies. But that said, Moonrise Kingdom really does too. Yes, it is somewhat of an art film, and yes, there are some odd quirks and stuff that I happen to really like. But even so, it's a great little story. It's got great moments in it. It feels like a classic movie, and I think it will be someday. So if you missed either of those, definitely check them out on Hulu. HBO recently added a movie called Sleight, which is a really cool little flick about a street musician, sort of a David Blaine type of a guy, but he's low level, doesn't really make any money. In fact, he has to resort to being a low-level drug dealer on the side, and then those worlds start to collide, and it actually makes for a really cool story. It's very different from anything I've ever seen. To me, it feels like a 90-minute episode of Black Mirror, because there's some interesting little things, because the thing about this movie is, and you get this from the trailer, not only is he a good magician with sleight of hand, but he appears to have actual abilities to manipulate objects. So there's kind of a cool, I want to say like superhero vibe to it, almost like an origin story, kind of like Unbreakable. So if that interests you at all, go check it out on HBO. Starz has a really great one I've been wanting to talk about for a while called All the Money in the World. Now, this is Ridley Scott's latest movie. It stars Mark Wahlberg, Christopher Plummer, Michelle Williams. Really great true story about the kidnapping of an heir to a fortune, one of the largest fortunes ever, and the owner of the fortune, the grandfather, refuses to pay the ransom. It's a true story. It's a historical drama. Really, really well done. I enjoyed it. It is long, but it needs to be. There's so many little facets to this story. You've got I say kid, I think he's like 20, he's like 19 or 20, but you got him trying to escape his captors. You've got the mother trying to coax the grandfather into giving the money. You've got Mark Wahlberg, who is sort of like the intermediary, sort of the trusted advisor, sort of like the agent that's going to help facilitate everything. So it's got so many little good elements to it. A lot of people overlooked it because Kevin Spacey was originally playing the role of the grandfather. He had like facial prosthetics and everything, and then all of that horrific shit with him came out, and they canned him, cut all of his scenes, and replaced him with Christopher Plummer. So that was all the news you were getting about this movie before it came out, and I really didn't care to see this movie, but I did pick it up. I did rent it one night. I did really, really enjoy it. I was surprised, and not having seen Spacey in it, I can't really say for sure, but Christopher Plummer seems like the perfect person for this role. He really nailed it. So, I don't know if Kevin Spacey would have even been any better, but I cannot recommend this movie enough. Definitely give it a look. On Showtime, The Debt is a really cool little spy flick from 2010. It stars Helen Mirren, Tom Wilkinson, Jessica Chastain. Really, really great little movie about some Mossad agents that brought back a Nazi war criminal. But the cool thing about this movie is there's younger actors that play them in 1965, and then you've got the Tom Wilkinson and the Helen Mirren playing them in present day. So there is some time jumping back and forth. I really, really like this one. It's another very realistic type of a spy movie. So that's almost 3, even though All the Money in the World's not really a spy movie. But All the Money in the World, The Debt, and The Good Shepherd, all really good movies to pick up, and they're all fairly similar. If you like one, you'll like the other 2. And on Blu-ray and streaming this week, Jurassic World. I'm surprised it came out as soon as it did. It got a lot of fairly good reviews. My understanding, though, is it's as good as the original. If you want to watch a big blockbuster this week, it'd be hard to do any better than that. And trust me, I dig deep. I look hard for good movies to watch. There's nothing else really that came out this week, but last week on Friday, a little movie called Mandy came out, and it is available on streaming. It does not float to the top. You are going to have to search for it on Amazon and any other streaming service, but it is available. I believe it's about $5 to rent. I did a full review. I liked the movie. It is not for everybody. If you want to know my thoughts, there's a short review I posted last week. I'll put a link to that in the description. And in the theater, slow week because we've had a couple of big weeks and we're at the tail end of summer, but Assassination Nation looks like a really cool little movie. Fans of The Purge will probably like this one, and as far as I can tell, it looks better than The Purge. So I might be going to check this one out, but don't expect a review from me on this one this week because I do have stuff I need to do other than going to see this movie. But if there's any upcoming theatrical releases you really want me to review, let me know in the comments below because I am currently making out my schedule. I'm going to be going to see those the week prior and then dropping my reviews on the Friday that they release. But that is it for this episode. I will keep making episodes like this as long as you keep watching them. But thanks for checking this one out. And you will see me next time.